I've seen a case where a mother and daughter were kidnapped after being returned to Mexico by the United States. They were then later given asylum in the United States. How does that not show that a mother who had a credible asylum claim was subjected to unnecessary violence by the United States?
We're working with the government of Mexico. They have promised, right? They have committed that they will do everything they can to provide adequate protection and shelter for those individuals waiting in Mexico.
Mark Morgan there, acting head of Customs and Border Protection, answering questions about the border bottleneck and about whether the U.S. bears responsibility when asylum seekers become victims of violence after they are turned back at the border. Joining me now, Douglas Stevens, an attorney and former asylum officer with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. He chose to quit his job and become a whistleblower over this issue. He is now represented by the Government Accountability Project. Douglas, big welcome to you. Let's get into this because I know that you've given testimony about all of this to a Homeland Security Committee in Congress. First of all, your assessment of Mark Morgan's answer there to my colleague Yamiche Alcindor.
Hi, Alex, and thank you. So I definitely think that the U.S. has responsibility for individuals that are being harmed when they're sent back to Mexico. This program is violating numerous domestic and international laws by sending people back and causing this harm.
So wait, are they just punting? Was Mark Morgan punting by saying there, look, you know, Mexico says they're going to do all they can to protect these people? Is he essentially trying to wash the U.S.'s hands of that in terms of protecting these folks that the United States turns away?
I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. Under international law, there's this rule called non-refoulement. It's basic international law on the kin of not committing genocide or not act like committing slavery. And this idea of not sending someone back to a place where it's more likely than not that they will be harmed, that is basic international law. That's something that we are violating every time that we send someone back without really assessing whether or not they would be harmed in Mexico.
So look, Douglas, your job was to interview asylum seekers, see if they have a credible case. Tell me about the moment that convinced you were quitting.
So I did a total of 5 of these Remain in Mexico interviews. All of them were incredibly difficult. I heard a number of really atrocious stories of individuals that were passing through Mexico and harmed by cartels, by police. What really did it for me was in the middle of one interview, it seemed clear that someone had a claim to being able to stay in the United States by showing that they would be harmed in Mexico based on their nationality or their status as a member in a particular social group. During that interview, I checked with one of my supervisors to see if we could use that to let them stay in the United States, and I was told flat out no. And at that point, it was very clear to me that this...
Were you given a reason? I mean, you just told nope?
I was just told no. I was not really surprised. The system, the interviews as they're structured are clearly designed to make individuals fail and send everyone back without really giving them a fair shot. So the fact that I was told that we couldn't apply a particular part of the law so that they could stay wasn't terribly surprising.
So look, Mark Morgan has also mentioned asylum fraud. I want to get to the gist of what he said. Let's take a listen on that.
Migrants can no longer expect to be allowed into the interior of the United States based on fraudulent asylum claims.
Make no mistake, these initiatives, including MPP, have absolutely been a game changer. At any given time, if anybody in the MPP process is waiting in Mexico, fears for their safety concern, all they have to do is go to a U.S. port of entry and claim that, and they will be allowed to go through that process.
Really? Do you want to comment on that? And also, if you know the percentage of asylum claims that actually turn out to be fraudulent?
So I don't know the number that turn out to be fraudulent. I think the administration is making a mistake in claiming that everyone that doesn't receive asylum is making a fraudulent claim. That's akin to saying that everyone that loses a lawsuit in the United States is committing fraud. It's just not true. Every individual that I've spoken to from Central America, and there's been hundreds, they all had a legitimate fear when they left their country. They had a legitimate fear of returning. Whether or not they qualify for asylum under the law is a separate question, but these aren't fraudulent claims.
Douglas Stevens, thank you very much.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.